There's no place like home. We're back on Dominaria, and a lot has changed since our last visit. The Phyrexians have sent a raiding party like it's 1999, and just like last time, the people of Dominaria are forming a coalition to defend their home plane. What does that mean for us? Well, it means we've got a ton of sweet new cards to put in our commander decks. That's what? Oh boy! Now remember, Dominaria is an awesome draft environment. If you have not drafted it yet at your local game store, make a date for Friday Night Magic to do so. But if you are just looking to pick up new cards from Dominaria for your 99, don't crack packs. Those are for draft. Just buy the singles you need for the decks you want to play. You're likely going to save a lot more money in the long run, but what cards do you want to play? Well, presented here are my top picks for cards not as commander, but to go in the 99 of your commander deck. So remember, don't buy Dominaria booster packs to crack for singles, just buy singles, particularly these. Plus one honorable mention. And hey, I'm always saying buy singles, but I don't often say where to buy singles. Well, I actually do. I say go to cardkingdom.com/TCC at the end of every video, but I don't really, shove it down your face. That's because Card Kingdom and I have a handshake agreement that allows me to do just as much or as little promotion of them as I want. And I just say what I want, how much I want. So I don't do it that much. So I'm going to do it a lot today to just kind of be nice. They don't even know I'm doing this. But yeah, cardkingdom.com/TCC. for singles and even price products with good prices. I didn't write a script to this. I'm not doing another take. Look at that. It's the Ultimate Guard Boulder, $11. That's fair. It's a good price. I mean, if your local game store doesn't have it, well, there it is. Look, I even made them put up their cheap commander decks that they're trying to clear up at the top of my page. Hey, $26. It's brand new in the box. That one's $27. There's some new ones coming out, and I'm gonna review them. And they're gonna cost a lot more than this. Hey, look, the Card Kingdom Starter Cube. It's back in stock. You can buy one or buy two. You don't need to buy two, but I'm not gonna tell you not to. Do whatever you want. It's your money. Or just, peruse their many, many, many singles and other great deals. So yeah, it's cardkingdom.com/TCC. You're not required to buy anything, but you can look around and maybe you see a good deal that you like and you're helping the channel out just by doing it. And they got a union, and so they got some cool local game stores. If you're in Seattle, a Mox Boarding House, or Portland, Mox Boarding House. So yeah, Card Kingdom, thank you for the handshake contract. This is what you get. No, that's rude. So yeah, cardkingdom.com/TCC. Because this could have been an ad for, I don't know, like. No, wait. I want to actually upset the sponsor. So yeah, cardkingdom.com/TCC. Because, it could have been an ad for IKEA or something, but no, it's for cards. Your kingdom of cards. Buy singles. Our honorable mention is the Phasing of Zhalfir, a blue card that reads, "Destroy all creatures, what a time to be alive." The Phasing of Zhalfir is a saga enchantment for 2 generic and 2 blue mana. Its first 2 chapters state, up to 1 target non-land permanent phases out for as long as you control the Phasing of Zhalfir. The 3rd chapter reads, "Destroy all creatures." For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 Phyrexian creature token. Wow, we are truly treading on new ground with this card. Now, the Phasing of Zhalfir is a saga, which means you're going to have to wait 2 full turns before you can have access to the board wipe ability, which in Commander is a real... What's that? Huh? Read ahead? Read ahead to what? So it turns out the Phasing of Zhalfir, as is true for every saga printed in Dominaria United, has a brand new mechanic. Read ahead. Read ahead allows you to choose to skip over chapters when you begin your saga. You don't get to go backwards, so you don't get the effects of the chapters you skipped. But what you do get is greater flexibility over what your saga does and when it does it. Sagas printed before Dominaria United have generally had a hard time keeping up in Commander. Because their best ability is often their last ability, you often have to wait 2 full turn cycles, and in Commander, that's 8 total turns. before you get the best ability they have to offer. Read Ahead solves this problem basically single-handedly. Now you can start your saga at the chapter you need in that moment, and thus you don't have to worry about someone ruining your plans with a disenchant effect before you get to the chapter you really want. The phasing of Zhalfir is an excellent addition to any blue deck that doesn't already have access to Wrath of God or Damnation. In two-player Constructed, replacing your opponent's board with a handful of tutus is not a winning strategy. But in Commander, with its high life totals and multiplayer nature, a few tutus is a significant downgrade from whatever it was your opponents had out before you cast this card. Coming up next, hey mom, can we get a copy of Timeless Lotus for my Commander deck? What do you mean my Commander deck already has a copy of Timeless Lotus at home? Aww. Well, that's right, number 5 on our list is a mostly better version of the longtime favorite Gilded Lotus, and that's Timeless Lotus. Timeless Lotus is a legendary artifact for 5 generic mana that enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap Timeless Lotus to add 1 of each color of mana. It's a good thing Timeless Lotus has that enters the battlefield tapped clause attached to it, because otherwise, this would be a very broken card indeed. As it is, Timeless Lotus is still very good. 5 mana is a lot for a mana rock to tap for, especially a mana rock that only costs 5 to put into play. To put that in perspective, in order to make Everflowing Chalice tap for 5 mana, you would have to spend 10 mana to cast it. And that's only for something that makes colorless mana. The usage of Timeless Lotus will only be limited by its color identity. You can only play it in your 5-color commander decks. But in those 5-color commander decks, this card is absurd. Untapping with this card effectively doubles the amount of mana you have access to. In a deck like Joda, Archmage Eternal, a single activation of a Timeless Lotus will allow you to cast anything you'd like from your hand. In a Sisay Weatherlight Captain deck, Timeless Lotus represents an activation of your commander single-handedly. Timeless Lotus is a sweet one, and if you're someone who enjoys Rainbow Commanders, you should be finding a spot for this card in your 99. Number 4 in our list is a big mean ape with a range of abilities almost as wide as his silver hide. Silverback Elder is a 5/7 ape shaman for 2 generic and 3 green mana. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may choose one. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library and put a land into play tapped from among them, or gain 4 life. This absolute behemoth of a card is sturdy, flexible, and very, very strong. 7 toughness means Silverback Elder can go toe-to-toe with most creatures in combat, and his repeatable disenchantability means your opponents will have a tough time keeping any artifact or enchantment into play for long. An opponent's Smothering Tithe or Rhystic Study getting your goat? Simply cast any creature spell. I mean, you have some of those in your deck, right? Creature spells? Don't sleep on the other 2 abilities this ape brings to the table. When you've got nothing better to do, stapling a free Elvish Rejuvenator to every creature you cast is a very powerful ability. Make no mistake, this is card advantage. Those lands you're putting into play are cards, and having another extra mana to cast your next spell each time you cast your last spell will snowball your board state to greater and greater heights each turn. And of course, there's one more thing Silverback Elder offers: gaining life. By far, one of the most underrated effects in Commander, this ape stabilizing you when you're at a precarious life total will save your hide more than you might think. Any green deck with creatures should consider finding room for this big old gorilla. He'll pull his weight, I promise. Coming up next, Lurrus of the Dream Den, Muldrotha the Gravetide, Underworld Breach. Do these names strike fear in your heart? They should. Graveyard Recursion is one of the most powerful things you can do in Magic. So how would you feel about a reasonably costed flying body that provides your white decks with access to one of Magic's most coveted resources, your own graveyard? Number 3 on the list is exactly that. Serra Paragon is a 3/4 flying angel creature for 2 generic and 2 white mana. On each of your turns, you may cast a non-land permanent card from your graveyard with mana value 3 or less. If that permanent leaves the battlefield, it is exiled and you gain 2 life. Gone are the days of white cards being the runt of the litter, and Paragon is no exception to that. Powerful but not broken, since the per turn and exile clauses both limit exactly how wild you can get with Paragon in play. Paragon is a kill-on-sight creature for your opponents. If you get multiple turns in with this in play, things can get out of hand very quickly. You're likely going to want to wait to cast Paragon until you have something you can recast immediately. That way she doesn't get hit with a removal spell before you've gotten any value out of her. Hook her up to a protective equipment like Lightning Greaves and you've got a sticky recursive engine online that your opponents will have to bend over backwards to shut down. Paragon is an excellent grindy card, filling a role that white decks up to this point haven't had access to. So what are the top 2 pickups for Commander in the 99 from Dominaria United? Well, if you thought Timeless Lotus was a strong mana rock, wait till you see this one. Relic of Legends is a 3-mana artifact that reads, tap to add 1 mana of any color. It also reads, tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Conventional wisdom suggests that 3-mana rocks are too slow for modern-day Commander, and that is true. Paying 3 mana to ramp you by 1 is not something you can get away with in a lot of playgroups. But how about spending 3 mana to ramp you by 2, or even more? If you have a legendary creature in play, which most Commander decks tend to have, then that's exactly what Relic of Legends does. In a deck like Magda, Relic of Legends is a combat-free way to trigger Magda's tap trigger, generating 1 mana from this and 1 from the treasure. Relic is also the best friend to Calamax, Archelos, and in fact, any deck that doesn't tend to get its commander hands dirty in combat will make good use of Relic of Legends. Relic doesn't care about summoning sickness either. You can cast a legendary creature and immediately tap it for mana. As you might imagine, there are a ton of potential combos for this card. Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves, Deadeye Navigator, and Relic of Legends combine for infinite life and infinite damage to your opponent's creatures. Your Kethis, the Hidden Hand deck, can have absolutely bananas turns with a Relic of Legends in play. Part of the fun of new cards with combo potential is discovering the combos yourself, so I won't go too deep on combos with Relic of Legends in this video. Suffice it to say, Relic of Legends is the best 3-mana rock we've seen in years, and perhaps ever. Speaking of combo potential, number 1 on the list of best cards in Dominaria United for your 99 is ripe with it. Vesuvian Duplomancy is a 4-mana enchantment that reads, whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary if the permanent was legendary. Vesuvian Duplomancy has a similar text box to a blue legend from Kaldheim, Orvar the All-Form. Unlike Orvar, Duplomancy only triggers when you target creatures and artifacts. And also, unlike Orvar, Duplomancy copies legendary artifacts and creatures with no downsides. Admittedly, the use case for Duplomancy is a bit more narrow than some of the other cards on this list. You have to be a deck that both plays spells that target your own creatures and be able to make the most out of the copies you create. But if you build your deck around this card, there's all sorts of fun to be had. Why, with an Eternal Witness in play, you can loop the same spell, well, eternally. Duplomancy is right at home in the new Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief deck too, making a swarm of fairies that all get boosted by your target spells. The same is true for your Orvar deck. The more you copy Orvar, the more Orvars you'll have. And once you have enough Orvars in play, you'll be making boatloads of copies of all your other permanents. Vesuvian Duplomancy is exactly the type of card I like to see enter the Commander format. Strong, but bringing with it some deck-building restrictions that mitigate exactly how wide an impact the card can have on the format as a whole. We have more than enough Dockside Extortionists and Arcane Signets for our decks, thank you very much. Powerful tools that only plug and play into select strategies are far more interesting in my book, but now I'd like to hear about your book. What cards from Dominaria United do you think are the best for the 99? Let me know in the comments below. And whether it's Commander gameplay, or Modern, or No Ban List Modern, or Pauper, or anything in between, be sure to check out my gameplay series, Shuffle Up and Play, which airs every other Monday on this channel. A new episode just dropped, so make sure that you did not miss it. And I hope very much this video has been of some help to you. You can help me out greatly just by remembering to like, share, or posting that comment, or watching that video, any video on this channel. YouTube just doesn't really like channels with long life, do they? Well, you can help out just by watch a little Tolarian Community College video as a treat.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, bring your favorite or one of your most favorite commander decks.
I have brought my dear beloved Grimgrin.
Brought the Mimeoplasm. And I brought Noyan Dawn.
And so I ask everyone to take their deck and please pass it to the right.
Of course.
I want, this deck to win, specifically because it's mine.
But how would you feel if I killed you with your deck?
What does my commander do?
He's getting a better draw than I've ever gotten out of that deck. What do you want me to do?
The thing is he's good at Magic, and that's usually not the case.
Oh, good. A land that comes into play untapped, unlike every other land in this deck.
I'm like a proud father watching his son take his first steps.
Lady Luck smiles upon a British man.
Yeah.
Don't meow.